Hello everybody! Today I am going to change the thermostat on my Skoda Fabia 1.4 16-valve engine. As a symptom, I have noticed that the water temperature indicator was not climbing more than a quarter, no matter how long I would drive the car. The only time it was different was during the time I was in the city or when the car was standing. So I tested the car with VCDS diagnosis and the temperature was sitting at about 55 degrees while driving, but with the car standing the water reached the normal temperature of 90 degrees and the indicator was in the middle position as it should be. This told me that the problem was not the temperature sensor, so I could only suspect the thermostat and decided to change it. This is located at the right side of the engine, viewing it from the front. In order to access it, we need to take down a few parts. These include the air filter, the battery and the battery holder. I lifted up the car in order to have access to the tap located on the bottom of the radiator in order to empty the cooling liquid from the system. I always ensure the car while lifting it, even though this is a 3-ton capacity jack. The cap must be opened to release the pressure, but also the coolant will flow out more easily. The valve is easy to open and close and should not be a problem. Taking the battery and the battery holder down is straightforward. Things get a little bit complicated because the thermostat housing cannot be opened because of the shifter levers sitting right in front of the housing, so we have to remove those also. To loosen the cables, you have to push the bottom plastic up and rotate it to lock it in position. We have to displace one of the levers in order to rotate it. There is a locking spacer that we need to take down in order to push the lever away so we can remove the white plastic from the ball joint. This should just pop out. I messed around with a screwdriver trying to show you guys how to do it, but it's easier with both hands, and that is how I finally did it. Some coolant will still remain here, even though there was no more coolant. dripping to the bottle, but I guess it will flow out only when the thermostat is open. But this means having the engine hot, and working on a hot engine is a little bit harder, and I didn't want to burn myself. The new thermostat looks a little bit different, and it also has a different opening temperature. The old one had 83 degrees and the new one is 82, but I guess this should not be a problem. Upon checking, the new O-ring is not the same size as the old, so I cannot use it. I will have to reuse the old one. I did test the thermostat with an air gun and it seems to be working. Of course, I don't know at what temperature it's opening, so I decided to change it anyway. After cleaning everything, I've used some grease lubricant from a spray, and this should make your life a lot easier. Mounting the new thermostat is easy, also putting back the housing should not be a problem, but we must align the shifter levers back correctly. In order to do this, on the gearbox side there is a small plastic pin that will lock the mechanism in only one position. Take very special care and do not over-force this little pin as it can break. In the car, the lever shifter needs to be locked with a 5mm pin, but I have used a 5mm drill because this is what I had, but it should be fine. Now we can check that the cables are loose and are not already partially locked in the plastic holders. Just have to rotate the plastic lock in the opposite side, and this should pop into position and this will lock the cable. Now we can unlock the mechanism on the gearbox by pulling the little plastic pin out and rotating it to the left, and we can then move on into the car and remove the 5mm drill. After this, you should test the shifter that it's working correctly and that the gear changes are smooth. We will fill back the system with a new antifreeze. This was prepared with soft water to 1:1 ratio, which on the bottle indications meant minus 37 degrees Celsius. I made 4 liters of this mixture. 3 liters went into the system and 1 liter in the trunk in case we need to top up after driving for a while. Now we can start putting back the rest of the components, and then it will be time to start the engine. Looking at the coolant level, this is a little bit strange because I did not overfill the system and the coolant is over the max level after about 30 minutes of running. I will be leaving it like this and we'll have a look after driving a few miles. This was the thermostat I used, and here are the seals that it came with, but none of these would fit and I did not use any of them. After a few kilometers I could see that indeed this was the problem and the water temperature is sitting where it's supposed to. After driving 2 days, the engine coolant lamp lighted up in the dashboard and I had to top up the coolant. So I guess this is the time needed to get all the air out of the system. I hope this was helpful to some of you. Don't forget to like the video if you enjoyed it. Bye bye!